There are different calendar systems across various cultures and civilizations. Each independent calendar offers a glimpse into that society's values, relationship with time, and the cosmos. The Thelemic Calendar celebrates the dawning of the Aeon of Horus and subsequent reception of the Book of the Law. The Thelemic Calendar is particularly valuable to those who practice magic because it helps one tune into the lunar and solar cycles, astrology, earthly rhythms, and the Thelemic history and philosophy. This video will give you the tools you need to get started understanding the Thelemic Calendar, using it, being able to write a Thelemic date, as well as a quick overview of the Thelemic holidays. This video is part of the toolkit of resources for magical practitioners. It's especially aimed at being inclusive to solo practitioners. So let's get into it. There are different calendars across different cultures. To give you some quick examples of what I am talking about, different calendars include the Chinese calendar, the Ethiopian calendar, the Jewish calendar, and many others. There is a huge list of different calendars on Wikipedia, but sadly the Thelemic calendar is so niche that it is not even on the list. I guess that is another reason why this video is so important. I think the Thelemic calendar is beautiful and worth sharing among the other diversity of calendars out there. So here is an example of a Thelemic calendar. I usually have it hanging on my wall back there because I really love the artwork on it. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, as you can see, it's a Thelemic calendar. And this one's interesting because it was actually made by Knights Templar Oasis, which is an OTO body. And as you can see, it has all of the major holidays listed here. And don't worry, this is just an overview. I'll get into all of the details later. And you can notice just off the bat, one of the interesting things about a Thelemic calendar is it starts off in March. That's because our Thelemic New Year is March 20th. I'll go into the details later, but just as a little overview. And what's great about this calendar is it has all of the astrology on it, as well as the Thelemic holidays, as well as the feast days of the Gnostic saints for people who observe those as well. So that's really neat. And it has a little description of the major holidays under the artwork. And just to show you another one. So really cool to when you're able to have a Thelemic calendar in your house. It just makes a lot of the planning and celebrations a lot easier. And of course, if you're not a Thelemite, yeah, you can just pick one up and use it as well. It can still be a great reference for you. When talking about the Thelemic calendar versus the common calendar, you may overhear the term era vulgaris, and perhaps you have overheard Thelemites wishing each other a happy vulgar new year during the New Year's and wondered what was going on. When I say vulgar new year, I don't mean vulgar as in disgusting. I mean vulgar as in common. The term era vulgaris came into Thelema through John Yarker and Theodore Reuss in the Ancient and Primitive Rite. Aleister Crowley also used the term and probably got it from them. On your screen are 3 photographs of these gentlemen in their Masonic regalia. The photo of John Yarker comes from a co-Mason's obituary piece on him, April 1913. This photo can also be found in the amazing book, Forgotten Templars, that is all about the more fringe history of Masonry. John Yarker was an English Freemason, author, and occultist. The photo of Theodore Reuss was from 1895 and is taken from Forgotten Templars as well. If you are into the more Golden Dawn style of ceremonial magic, then Theodore Reuss should be on your radar. He is one of the founding members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, and he also played an important role in the founding of the OTO, or Ordo Templi Orientis. The Thelemic calendar centers the sun as its foundation. When the sun crosses the celestial equator in Aries, this is the start of the Thelemic New Year, approximately March 20th EV. EV, of course, being the era vulgaris or common era we just talked about. How you experience the start of the Thelemic New Year depends on where you are in the world. If you are in the northern hemisphere, this is the spring equinox. If you are in the southern hemisphere, this is the fall equinox. Regardless of where you are in the world, the Earth's position relative to the sun causes the day and night to be approximately equal in length. In other words, the sun and the moon are in balance with each other. One of the important symbols of Thelema is the symbolic union of the sun and the moon. This represents the harmonious convergence of active and passive energies. It is the union of cosmic dualities. Such a balance is of course symbolically struck on the equinoxes. The art on the screen is of a beautiful oil painting in the MoMA collection. In addition to exposing my viewers to the historical figures, I also like sharing art, as art has always played an important role in their cult. This piece also has to deal with the theme of unification, and I think the color and imagery here is quite powerful. The background behind the women in the painting is the art tarot card from the Thoth deck. The Thoth deck is a unique tarot system based in the Aeon of Horus, which we will talk about soon. The Thelemic calendar uses a base 22 system of counting, with 1904 as year 0. 1904 is counted as year 0 because that was the start of the new Aeon, or the Aeon of Horus. The equinox of the gods ushered in the new Aeon on March 20th, 1904. There are 22-year cycles based on the 22 paths of the Tree of Life and the major arcana, or Atu, in the Thoth Tarot. Each year is identified by the Roman numeral associated with the corresponding tarot card. The expression of the minor arcana advances every year. The major arcana advances every 22 years. Recording the dates and times using this system is a helpful way to keep track of celestial movements and thus better understand their influence on earthly events. This system follows the conventional framework of astrology. First, you record the position of the sun and the moon in the tropical zodiac. The tropical zodiac marks the sun's position relative to the horizon at a specific place on Earth. It divides the sun's path into 12 equal parts, assigning each part to a zodiacal sign. To be more precise in the description of the position of the sun, or sol, and moon, also known as luna, one would also record the degrees, minutes, and seconds of their position. The day of the week is recorded in Latin. Finally, the Thelemic year in Roman numerals is included. The year is indicated by the Latin term anno. It can also be indicated by a following en, which means era novus. This is Latin for new era. Here is an example of recording the Thelemic date. December 20th, 2023 EV at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time would be depicted as you see on your screen. You can write it all out with words or with symbols. In my example, I show both for your reference. Note the Roman numerals 59, it's the V.ix, is the Thelemic year expressed in Roman numerals, which corresponds to the 22 cycle being in the Hierophant and the year in the Hermit. Also, I don't know why some of the symbols in the slide are in purple. I wanted everything to be in a uniform black and white, and my computer just couldn't handle that, so the weird font is not intentional. Something else you will find on a Thelemic calendar is the Thelemic holidays, also known as the Thelemic holy days. There are both official holidays that come directly from the Book of the Law, and then there are the more modern holidays that various people have invented or created traditions around. These modern inventions include a lot of things, but typically that's referring to celebrations of the cross quarters, the Thelemic holy season as some people call it, and of course Crowley's birthday, jokingly referred to as Crowleymas. But back to the official stuff according to the Book of the Law. This is the passage that talks about them. I will read it for you. But ye, O my people, rise up and awake. Let the rituals be rightly performed with joy and beauty. There are rituals of the elements and feasts of the times. A feast for the first night of the prophet and his bride. A feast for the 3 days of the writing of the Book of the Law. A feast for Tahuti and the child of the prophet, secret O prophet. A feast for the supreme ritual, and a feast for the equinox of the gods. A feast for fire, and a feast for water. A feast for life, and a greater feast for death. A feast every day in your hearts and in the joy of my rapture. A feast every night unto new, and the pleasure of uttermost delight. So let's get into what those holidays are really briefly. If you're interested in how Thelemites celebrate these holidays, then please be sure to check out my other videos as I share that part of my life with you all. I do strictly informative videos as well as vlogs. I think I am the only person who has vlogged anything related to Thelema, whether it's my experience in the OTO or how I celebrate holidays. There is obviously some great educational content out there, and I have it linked in my Other Channels tab on my channel. But my channel is special, and it stands apart from those other channels for a number of reasons, and my vlogs are one of those reasons. Honestly, my channel is it. That's all there is. I do hope we see more Thelemic vlog-style videos in the future from other creators, though. However, I think people may be hesitant to make that kind of content because you end up getting harassed and threatened. It's just a risky, personal, and emotionally expensive kind of video to make. But in my opinion, it's super rewarding because it inspires so many other people in a way that purely academic stuff does not. So go check out my holiday vlogs if that interests you. To get back to the holiday overview discussion, let's talk about those holidays. The rituals of the elements and feasts of the times are observed at the equinoxes and the solstices. Notice I did not say cross quarters. The cross quarter stuff is a modern invention. There is nothing wrong with modern inventions, but I want people to be informed of the history. The feast for the first night of the prophet and his bride is observed on August 12th. The feast for the 3 days of the writing of the Book of the Law is observed on April 8th, 9th, and 10th, beginning at noon on each day. This is a big one almost all Thelemites observe. The feast for the Supreme Ritual, or the Invocation of Horus, is observed on March 20th. The feast for the Equinox of the Gods is held on the Northern Hemisphere vernal equinox of each year to commemorate the founding of Thelema in 1904. As we talked about, it marks the beginning of the Thelemic year. And of course, there are the points in an individual's life that are observed and celebrated as well. So that concludes my presentation all about the Thelemic calendar. I hope you found it useful, inspiring, and invigorating to go out there and practice magic and do so effectively. I really appreciate you for watching, and all of the resources I mentioned, as well as some extra things you may find helpful, are in the description below. So, as always, I am the center of expression for the primal will to good, and so are you.